Thank you for joining us today for another exclusive interview sponsored by Immovet. Help your horses reach their maximum potential with Immovet's line of natural homeopathic products. I'm your host today, Aurelian Drumian. Today we're joined by Mick Price, one of Australia's most accomplished trainers with a proven record of developing elite sprinters. With Charmstone fresh off her Gr.1 Robert Sangster victory and what you need unbeaten in 3 starts, Price faces the exciting challenge of managing multiple top-class contenders as the Everest looms. We'll discuss the path towards Renwick's $20 million showdown, what makes a true Everest horse, and how his experience at the highest level shapes his campaign planning. Stay tuned for fascinating insight into the mind of a trainer who knows what it takes to compete on racing's biggest stage. Thank you so much for coming, Mick Price.
Thank you, Aurelian.
Excellent. So first of all, Charmstone won the Gr.1 Robert Sangster Stakes in April, and you're targeting the Manicato Stakes first up. What makes Moonee Valley such a good fit for her?
Well, actually, Moonee Valley itself is a very tight course, and that doesn't fill me with confidence because if you look at Charmstone, you'll see a beautiful, stretchy, leggy 4-year-old mare, and I think she's suited to the big tracks, but she has won at Moonee Valley, and it is a Group 1, and sometimes you have to go where the races are, and she trialled at Caulfield this morning on a tight track there and trialled really well. That was her first trial back. So I have a plan for her, which will go to the trial Monday week at Cranbourne. There are always good trials there, good jockeys, good surface, good competitors. And then we'll go to Moonee Valley on the Monday morning before Friday, the 26th of September. And, it's like an hour and a half trip from Cranbourne. It will adrenalise her a little bit more, and she'll have a good gallop around the course proper there at Moonee Valley and have a refresher back at that tight track. And we got to go for the Group 1s. If the Group 1 was at Caulfield or Flemington or Morphettville or somewhere else, I'd be feeling a bit better. But you've got to have a go, don't you?
That's very true. That's very true. Sometimes you just have to go for it, I guess.
Yeah.
You have also what you need unbeaten in 3 starts, and you mentioned he could target the Manicato and champion sprints if he doesn't really secure an Everest slot.
No, what you need is finished because what you need had a really bad throat. So what you need has been passed on to another trainer. I'm not sure what they're doing with him. He was a very, very promising horse, but if you can't breathe, you can't run.
Fair enough, of course. Also, not so many information anymore regarding this horse, sadly.
No. He's with another trainer. Plus, he'll never ever reach the level that his ability said he would early days. Like I said, throats are a problem all over the world in thoroughbred racing. I don't know, it's unusual that you have this degeneration of nerve at the top of the voice box, which causes what they call an arytenoid cartilage to collapse, stay collapsed, lose all function to inhale, and your horse gets robbed of his rightful function because of throats. The problem there is broodmares that fail in that area, like with failed throats, and stallions with failed throats, they still go to stud and we still breed from them.
So you mentioned a few things regarding Charmstone, mostly the pathways from Manicato towards the Everest. How would you describe that path?
Right, you've got 3 weeks and 1 day to go to the Everest in October, if that is the case. The problem there is there's 12 slot holders, and we have not been offered a slot at the moment. Now, things change up until the last minute. And if she wins the Manicato, there'll be slot holders that want to offer a deal to her owners. And then I would say we would go. So the Everest, there's a bit of a misconception that you need a wet tracker because Sydney in October can be very wet, especially Randwick. Randwick is on the coast and you get a lot of coastal rain in Sydney, a lot of tropical rain. Some years have been very heavy on the track and some years have been good. But I think you need a 1,200-meter sprinter with stamina. If you have a 1,200-meter horse that can get away with a race on a soft lead, he could not win the Everest. It's never it's not a soft horse's race. It's a genuine test of 1,200 meters. So although it's only 1,200 meters, it's a test of speed and stamina, and you've got to be lucky to handle the track. So it's a $20 million race. It's the race that basically stops Sydney. They have this song that they stop the course with, Sweet Caroline. The whole crowd takes on Neil Diamond.
Oh,
It's a great atmosphere. It's
I'm
aimed
sure.
at the younger demographic, and the younger demographic embrace it, which I think it's great for racing.
Amazing, for sure. And beyond the Everest, what would be the post-October plans? The BRC
Yeah,
Champion Sprints, maybe, or
well, yeah, exactly. So she's got to go for the Group Ones. She's a Group One mare. And unless we have a fill-in race, which might be Group 3 or Group 2, she'll be going last day of the carnival into the champion sprint down the straight. She's formerly run well down the straight, but if she's in good order and holds her form, she's certainly capable of winning that type of race.
no? And regarding going back to the Everest, what kind of specific qualities do you normally look for into a horse that could potentially handle, that pressure,
Well,
that environment?
well, there's a few things. One, you've got to have the right horse. Then you've got to have with the nature of the terms and conditions of the race, you've got to have a slot holder that wants you. So if you get all those things happening, you then have to get your timing right. I think timing to win big races is very, very important. You can have the right horse, but if your timing is wrong, well, it just doesn't work, does it? We've seen good horses like Bella Nipotina and Nature Strip, and Red Zell won 2 Everests. It's only been going since 2017, but it's a really, really good race. And I've been to, we had a stallion called Jacquino run in it, and he struck a wet track, so he didn't win. But he still ran fifth, beaten a couple of lengths, and he ran superbly. But the build-up, I remember we were out on Sydney Harbour on this magnificent yacht. And they had not the fireworks. Nowadays they have the drones. Like they
Oh, wow.
have 500 drones up in the air, and they go up, and it says the Everest, and there's champagne everywhere. And for the owners and the connections, it's a very, very big build-up. It's very exciting.
It's amazing, for sure. And since you've trained, at the highest level for many years, how do you normally compare a horse, that can potentially succeed at the Everest versus those that don't?
I think a lot of it is instinct. I'm there every day. I walk into my stables every day at 4 o'clock. I know my horses. I know what work I need to see. I've got very good work riders. I'm very reliant on my work riders. I'm very reliant on what I see. The latest thing is all the equimeters. So you strap your device onto the horse's girth. It takes beats per minute. It takes the recovery of how when the horse hits the line to when he gets back to 120 beats per minute. If it's a minute and quick, it's very good. It's a sign of fitness. If it's 3 or 4 minutes, there's either something wrong, or your horse is not fit, or maybe it's got small capacity. Now, we're only just starting to use that technology. It has helped me. It's not what I would rely on to train a good horse, but it's data, it's information, and I think it's a beneficial training tool. I mean, we've only got 2 of them, so we can't put it on every single horse, but there'll come a day where you just put your saddlecloth on, it goes back to your computer or your mobile phone, it collates the information in a timely manner. It's a guide, you know what I mean? And we do use that. But I know when my horses are showing a lot of promise, and you'll know by the time you get them through the grades what their race day form tells you, what your track work tells you, You'll know if you've got a good horse.
Excellent. I was about to ask you if you were starting to embrace more technology as well, as you mentioned, actually. So right now you told me you have two devices. Are you potentially looking into more different technology or different devices or
Well, yes, there are different forms of this technology. Some go in the saddle blanket, some go on the girth. I find they're a little bit fragile. And, you've got a lot of staff who just rip them off. And, the tags come out, the devices aren't tough at the moment, but they will get better and better. But I would say that the information on printout is very interesting and we use it. They also give you stride length, they give you cadence, as in, how quickly a horse can put their speed down on the ground. So we have information that says this horse may have a 24-foot stride, but his cadence is slow. So it gives us a clue what to do in races with him and how to ride him. Versus this horse has got a short stride and a slow cadence, and that's really bad. That's a bad combination. You're probably looking at an average animal, but long stride and quick cadence and good heart lung capacity, you've got a Group 1 horse.
excellent. Uh, Going back to Charmstone, obviously he's by I Am Invincible, a sire who's produced, multiple Group 1 sprinters. What is it about her breeding, conformation, and racing style that makes you think maybe Everest horse, or especially regarding
Well, for a start, I think she was $1 million yearling or $1.5 million yearling. She was a beautiful yearling. We always loved her ability, and the price doesn't mean they're any good, of course, but she has a very good pedigree. She's from a very good farm. She's from Emirates Farm. Nassaluta bred her. And, she lives up to her, she's by a very good stallion. She lives up to her female side of the pedigree. And I know physically that she's got what it takes. So all the things put together, they give me confidence that I can aim for a Group 1, get my timing right, and if everything aligns, then they win a Group 1. And now she's worth probably 2 million minimum. And she's a magnificent type, and she will be an outstanding broodmare. I feel I've had a lot of females go to stud, and she has what it takes to be a very good broodmare. So I think you just have to put everything into the picture every day. And, when you do it a long time, it's easier to compare, and the light bulb goes on a lot easier when one comes along.
And this stable has had success, with high-level sprinting campaigns before. What have you learned from previous, let's say, roads to the Everest, whether with your own horses or, observing others, that maybe influences how you approach Charmstone campaign itself?
I've learnt that you need to peak them, and there's a zone where you need to peak them in. She should be peaking in that zone. She does have to travel from Melbourne to Sydney, which is 1,000 kilometres, which is an extra layer of risk for, their travel, their hydration, their immune system. We do have a stable in Sydney, a permanent stable in Sydney, which makes it easier. But she's still, her first goal is the Manikato. And if following that I can get her into the Everest, well, we'll do everything that we can to make sure she arrives there in perfect order. I've got 3 weeks. 2 weeks is squeezy. 3 weeks is good. It gives me time for her to get over the Manikato. Last time first up in the Robert Sangster, she won that race first up, and we brought her back home from Adelaide, which is 1,000 k's, and I thought she was pretty right second up, but she didn't perform, and I still don't know why. And maybe she's a mare that adrenalizes up fairly well at her first up run, and then her second up run, maybe she doesn't adrenalize up so well. So look, no horse trainer ever knows all the answers,
Sure.
which makes it, so challenging a career. But
That's also the fun out of it, I guess.
Well, well, yes, sort of. It's the stress of it too, you know.
That's true.
But anyway, we'll do our best and we'll see what happens. But I think we can achieve it.
Excellent. Is she generally speaking a good traveler? Like, does she normally travel well?
We've had to teach her to be a good traveller on horse transport. So she's quite a sizable mare. She does not like an enclosed space. You'll notice on her form, on her gear, she's a stallion chain. So stallion chain is where you can encourage them into the barrier with no jockey on. The Australian rules of racing is that you need a jockey on at all times, but with a stallion chain, you get jockey off for safety. You lead them in with a stallion chain into that small space, and she touches the sides and gets a little bit claustrophobic. So when we travel her, we need to make sure she has a double space.
Oh,
So we don't, when you travel a horse, you pay for one space.
mhm.
When we travel her, we pay for two spaces,
My goodness.
so she can get her big fat backside and have a bit of a move around and not touch the sides, in which case she travels beautiful.
Interesting. Excellent. Well, that was my last question. Thank you so
Well, it's
much
been
for
my,
the interview.
been my pleasure, and hopefully we can make the Everest.
I knock on wood, indeed. I wish you all the very
Thank you very
best,
much.
and hopefully
Thank
we
you.
may be in touch again.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy the
Been a
rest of
pleasure.
your day, and
Thank you. You
all the
too.
best for
You
sure.
too.